The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Monday, the 12th day of December, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Linda's. I'm Jamal Hartman. She, Sherry Vanderpool, and Leanna Lambert will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sherry, you had 2 days without me. How you doing?
I'm doing great when you put it like that. I'm doing well.
When I ask Leanna that question, it's gonna be, man, I missed it. Yeah. It'll be a totally different reaction because
She's your favorite child anyway. I'm the stepchild. It's all right. It's all right.
You say it like that. I know I'm not her favorite, so nah, she ain't my favorite no more. But anyway, look, good morning, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one to begin the week as we discuss ways to honor those who paved the way for us. The Daily Play, well, it's a bit of more Christmas trivia. So I'm thinking, Sherry, and you all are going to get this one. Good morning to James Birch. Happy Monday to you. And Monica Dunstan, good morning to you. So, Sherry, we have a lot to discuss today, so I don't want to take up too much time, but did you do anything fun this weekend?
Did I ever? I've been partying since Friday, basically. I had a friend that, we've been friends. We met in a kickboxing class, I think in 2005 or 6. And we've been friends ever since. Anyway, she lives in New York and she came down to celebrate her birthday. Hi, Jade and Tennille. And it was a Friday straight through. And my cousin celebrated her 50th on Sunday. So I was at a brunch. I drank a drink called Flower Bomb. And by 4:30, 5 o'clock, I was in my bed. Like,
anything with bomb in it is not a good idea.
It was loud.
With bomb in it. But no, I get it was well. But what were the after effects?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There was some, and I'm still dealing with some coffee.
My point exactly. I'll tell you all at a later date about my adventurous weekend, but let's just call it adventurous. That's the best way to describe it. So look, I want to discuss something. So last week, there was a story in the Royal Gazette, and we're going to be speaking about later on in the show how we can best honor those who paved the way. Leanna's going to speak more about the loss of one of Bermuda's best in the industry, Mike Sharp, this past weekend. For those of you who may not know who Mike Sharp is, Mike Sharp, as a young person, the news was always Ciola Wilson, Janelle Ford, Mike Sharp. That was the news when we were growing up, right?
Yes.
Mike Sharp was the person that I and many other young guys look forward to seeing on the news because we like sports mostly. We weren't into a lot of other stuff. So we waited to the end to see Mike Sharp. I know Larry Marshall Jr. stated, as an athlete, him being a runner, one of their dreams was always to be interviewed by Mike Sharp. So sending huge condolences to the family and colleagues of Mike Sharp this Monday morning. But let's go back to the story that Sherry, you sent last week, and just give people some context of where the question's coming from. So would-be lawyer gets court break after diligent approach to community service. And basically a law student who did community service to work off $1,800 in unpaid traffic fines, was shown leniency by a magistrate yesterday. Senior Magistrate Juan Wolf cut short the community service order imposed on a young lady after she completed 2/3 of her hours in half the time allotted. Right, that's brilliant. She had helped senior citizens as part of her order, and she told the court, "I feel that this whole thing has taught me a lesson and has kept me busy." The court earlier heard she owed cash from traffic fines, but had struggled to pay them off. All right, so let's end right there. So she did. They changed the fines to 95 hours of community service on March 30th and was ordered to complete them inside 18 months. But she completed 67 by December, which she juggled with her legal studies. So the question of the morning, and I appreciate this question so much, Sherry, thanks for saying this, is how can we improve the fine / penalty system? Because let's just be honest. It's like the bond and bail system in the United States. A lot of people think it's unfair, right? You put you give me, Jamel Hartman, the same bail or bond as someone who is basically rich, right? Someone like, let's say, Bernie Madoff or Jeffrey Epstein. And I hate to use people like that, but let's be honest. If you give them a $1 million fine or bail or bond, they can pay that off, right? They have that to back it. But myself, I don't. So do we in Bermuda need to relook at our fine system? Like, does it need to be standard, or can it be based on people's individual living? Like, what are some ways we can improve Bermuda's fine / penalty system? Because with this young lady, right, she couldn't pay off the fine. She's a young lady that's trying to become a lawyer. She's actually studying. And this is a perfect example in our community. This is a perfect example in our community where someone says, you know what, I can't pay off the fines, but I will make the time to do community service.
Right.
What do you say?
Well, I think it was a brilliant thing for Magistrate Juan Wolf to recognize it, right? And that's where I think we have to start first, looking at our magistrates, judges, or anything like that, who look at the individual and their circumstance and their situation, of course, keeping within the law, because that's what they're there to do, and find what best suits that individual. Am I going to place a young man and I'm just saying, in a senior citizen's home? And that's not his passion, or that's not his thing. Should we then reach out to the different clubs and see if he can help coach young men, other young boys who are athletes like him, or who are into different sports? And hopefully that will spark him and his passion. So if we can find things that speak to people's passions, or speak to, and not just like signing on something and pushing it to the side. To me, that starts just the hamster wheel of these people coming back and doing things of that nature. So I think if we hone in on what a person can do, even if it means seeing if they can go into a business of some sort. Somebody might be into hairdressing or something. So it's a community approach as well.
Yeah.
And I think, of course, it all depends on what they've done in that sense, and some people may need, other counseling services and different things of that nature. But at the same token, but I'm with you in regards to the penalty, the fine and the penalty system in regards to the bondage that it can keep on the person that is in trouble. So we have to look at how we can fix that to be better. And in the same token, remember I talked about, last week, rules are rules. You break them, this is what happens, and I think it goes back to what you said last week, trying to change the behavior so that rule doesn't have to apply.
But when it comes to laws and rules, I think we have to accept that some are outdated. And I think James Burt says it best right here. Fines just become minimal taxes to wealthier people. And that's exactly, I look at fines as a tax system. And are we still living in a time where someone goes to court for a minor traffic offense, right? A minor traffic offense. Let's say they were going 50 miles per hour. I don't know what the grace is right now. They go to court, right? Minor traffic offense, and they're given a $250 fine. Not everyone can pay that $250 fine. And I know some people would say, "Oh, that's the law. They should have been the speed limit." But again, we're living in a time we can think of other things to ensure that we're not making the situation worse. Because what we're doing at that point, it goes back to what we were saying Friday, we're criminalizing people over something that can be an easy fix. Let's go to Monica Dunstan says, and let me just give props. I mentioned the radio, but you all are showing up on YouTube lately. We're having more people viewing on YouTube as of late than Facebook. You all know that's our goal, to shift everyone to YouTube. And we're live doing this, so props to everyone who's tuned in over on YouTube. Monica Dunstan, a former Facebook member, now on our YouTube community. As a general, community service should be given more often in some shape or form. We need, what is that? Restorative justice, period. And I agree. And that I agree with that wholeheartedly, Monica Dunstan. Like we're in a time where communities are, and like Sherry said, it has to fit, right? So you don't want someone who is basically as a petty crime like theft, like they stole candy, probably in a position of trust, like working in a space where it's more trustworthy. So if it was maybe landscaping or picking up trash, that may make sense. So it has to match. You don't want to mismatch people. Again, the question this morning, folks, is how can we improve the fine/penalty system? The reason we're asking this question is last week, a young lady who is studying to become a lawyer, she was unable to pay the fines, the $1,800 in fines. She just didn't have the finances, and the judge ordered her community service. And he actually cut her community service because she had completed basically 2/3 of it within a 6-month time period, if that. So this is a perfect example that we should have more options to the fine system. So what are your thoughts about that? Sloan Johnson for you, Sherry.
This is all aligned with the concept of restorative justice/restorative practices. It's a new concept to Bermuda, but the court system is slowly starting to see the benefit. Okay. But in the same vein, the community has to be open to the change.
Yeah.
And there's quite few restorative practitioners on the island now.
Mm.
And my only and Celine, thank you for that, because at the same token, we have to be open to change, right? Which means we need to change our mindset and not look at, hey, that's Jamal, he did this and he did that.
Yes.
And everybody needs a second chance, you know what I mean? And I am a believer of people change. Sometimes it takes people longer, sometimes people get it quickly. But we have to be open-minded to some of these things. And if we're going to be this community that, we're all so tightened together, that we need to make sure that we can be open to it. But don't set them up for failure. Don't put a petty thief in a grocery store to sell stuff. That makes no sense.
And that's exactly it, Sherry. We have to make sure it's a clear match that benefits both the person. And like what this young lady said was she's learned a lot over this period, and kept busy. So I think, who knows? Join her legal stuff. Once she's done with her legal status, passes the bar, becomes a lawyer, she may say, you know what, I really enjoyed that part of my life. Let me continue this. So I think it's a way to really improve the community overall. But when you put people in situations, and I'm not trying to pick on anyone, and you just keep fining, it's easy to say, well, if they just follow the law. No, it's also easy to change the system, change the laws that were made 20, 50, 100 years ago to adapt to where we are living today. Because once you start to pile fines on top of someone, you're putting them in a space where it's like debt. And, you can say they're putting themselves there, but we're putting our community in an unsafe space where they may do some weird stuff to make that money,
Yeah. Well, I have two parts to this. I hope for the young lady, and can we say her name? Because I
said young lady. It's
okay.
I refer to her as young lady.
Anyway, young lady, that, even she takes part of her what may be left, and hopefully somebody in the law, realm can help her finish it using, that law part, giving her some things to do with law, to help her with her studies. The only part that anytime I don't think, and it is what it is, that a fine should be paid off of is for child support. And that's probably a whole different show.
Mhm.
But child support to me
How do you? That
falls.
makes no sense, though. How could you pay a fine for child? Wouldn't you're taking money away from the? I don't. That makes no. They do that.
Well, I don't know if they do, but I'm hoping that this conversation doesn't spark that change for
I
that part
that
of it.
that would be it makes no sense. Shikarena says, aren't there several organizations who need volunteers? Seems like they would use this opportunity. Absolutely. I think this is a
Mhm.
part. We've had people from different organizations on recently. Who actually looking for
Yeah.
volunteers. So no, this is very helpful. Sloan Johnson says restorative practice training is available to the public. Tell us more, Sloan. Tell us more, please.
Yes. Yeah.
Cat Plays says Sloan hit the nail, but there are others who push the gambit too far and truly just don't want to change. So it's that balance that may be hard to find. Interesting there, and it's always that balance, right? It's always that balance that we're looking for. That simple balance. We don't want to go too extreme either way. Graham Smith says, hopefully the magistrates will show similar deference to those given community service sentences, not just those looking to join the legal fraternity. Well, this is a good point.
Listen.
This is a good point. Now, and let's discuss it. If she were not studying law, would she have gotten the same leniency? Thank you for
I
that.
I'm gonna say yes because we're looking at the time frame in which she did this community service that was outside of the legal framework, right? It wasn't in a law office like I was suggesting for her to finish off the remaining. It was
Mhm,
at a senior citizens home, which you had to have wanted to go ahead and do that. So
mhm,
I would say in this particular situation, maybe not. You know what
mhm,
I mean?
mhm.
But I do take his point, and I hear it. I hear it.
Sherry, you're cutting out a bit. Could be me, but it
Oh,
cut out just now. Let's go to David Michael Wilson. He says it's like finding someone who already owes money ridiculous. Yeah, and that's the point. Like it's like if they're not paying the 200, what makes you think they're going to pay the 800 or the 1200? You know,
right.
I think that's where it shows that a system is broken and it's not working. It's just not working. Sloan Johnson says the training is available through CyberTips. Investment is $50. Interested persons can email cybertips@gov to obtain more information on the training schedule. Looks like we'll have to have her on to discuss this as well. Sean Smith
Yes.
says this is one of the reasons the drug court was brought into being, to get people help instead of locking them up for their addictions. This is important. Let's bring Leanna into the conversation. I'm sure she has an opinion on this. Well, first, before I put Leanna on the spot, let me ask you, Sherry, you don't come across as a person who's ever been fined, right?
In my younger days, speeding, yes.
You sped? Really?
Yeah, and what was interesting, my father's gonna kill me, but we were ended up. This was at the Earl Court House or whatever, and so you would go there and you go by last name, and then he and I were both in there together. He,
Whoa.
he had two offenses. He had, a very fast car, and I had one. And back then, he got off the road for cars, not bikes, so we switched. Yeah. So that was probably the only time, one or two.
Did you just throw your father under the bus? And
Just a little. And then I got a ticket out in Huntsville. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't have any wood to knock on, but I haven't like had a speeding ticket since I was like 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's bring Lee in because I want to
I
know.
definitely I
It's
definitely
just
got one for Tintaway.
yeah.
For
See,
those real
I'm
time.
a law-abiding citizen. I don't. If you take conscription away, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Let's bring Leanna in because her innocence might lose her innocence this morning if she answers this the wrong way. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I am great. I've had a great weekend as well, feeling rested and
Feeling good?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Now, I don't appreciate though how you're about to take my good credentials and credibility away from me. However, I have had a speeding ticket or two in the past.
Or two. Okay.
and had to go to
Okay.
court and do that whole, embarrassing walk of shame while everybody is in the courtroom and the report. I've done it, yes.
Wow. I didn't know you had been into a courtroom outside of reporting.
Yes, I have been. Yes, I
Did you
have.
stand up like myself and said, I'm a student? Need
No,
time?
I don't. Yes, I was actually a student at the time. I did ask for time to pay the fine. I do remember that. But I remember it being really like, I was embarrassed because when I went through I stood behind, the gate, and they're like, oh no, ma'am, you need to come through. I'm like, I gotta come all the way to the front? No,
I was embarrassed
it
too.
was an experience.
And that person that stands up, my lord, she was also caught.
Yeah.
I was like, why this person in court switching, like telling everything? But
Just trying to throw you under the bus. Just get
yeah.
the hammer thrown, book thrown at you. But
So
yeah.
folks, Liana ain't as clean as she was. She ain't as clean
My
as she was. I'm just saying.
Wow.
goodness.
Yeah, she's got a little asterisk next to her name too, folks. I'm just letting you know. But Lee,
All right, Lee.
we had a weekend question, and do we have an answer? Remember, we asked the
Yes,
audience.
we did. And it was, what is the name of my beautiful pink tree here? So after giving it some thought, and let me pull it up because I did take a picture so I could remember the names that were given to me that day. So we had Candy Cone by James Birch. We
Yeah.
had Karen Simmons says Fuchsia Delight.
Mhm.
Keitha Trotkin says Think Pink or Pink Magic or Rose. And then I think, I can't remember who said it, but there was a Noel as well.
Yes, yes. And what did we decide?
Honestly, I kind of liked Candy Cone.
Candy Cone.
Double C.
Double C. Okay, Candy Cone. We got you,
Yeah.
sister.
All right, CC and Lee Lee.
CC and Lee in Christmas
Sisters.
holiday time. I'm just kidding.
Wow, you can tell they love this time. I just want to share this before you get to your news break because this is about me. Sheikah Reina says, "Well, Jamal is the innocent one." Yes, Sheikah, I am the innocent, clean one on the show at this point. So I appreciate you recognizing that.
Oh, Sheikah.
How much time have you spent in court,
Yeah.
Jamal, in comparison? I'm just saying.
I mean, I said if you take away conscription, I'm the good one.
He had
I
a
qualified my state.
disclaimer. That was his
I qualify-
disclaimer, Sherry. That was his disclaimer.
Denied.
Yeah,
Spent
whatever.
more time in a courtroom than both of us combined, but
Yeah.
Hello.
You know, see anyway, it's time for news break. You ain't getting me this morning, ladies. Over to you, Lee.
Thanks, Jamal and Sherry, and happy Monday to all of those who are tuned in with us today. I hope you all are having a great start to your day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. In today's top stories, one of the island's most notable veteran broadcasters and Olympic athletes, Mike Sharp, has sadly passed away over the weekend. He was 65 at the time of his death. Now, beginning his career as a sports star, he had competed in the 100 meters at the 1976 Summer Olympics in Montreal, Canada, excelling in the triple jump, running in the relay races, as well as playing competitive cricket. Now, he then charted a new path, discovering a talent as a sports and news journalist for Bermuda Broadcasting Company, which he did on and off for more than 30 years. BBC Chief Executive Patrick Singleton said Mike's passing is a huge shock to everyone at the company. He described Mike as someone who had a, quote, friendly but authoritative voice, and his live commentary on football, athletics, and cricket became a part of the sporting fabric of our island, end quote. Mr. Singleton, along with the Bermuda Olympic Association, extended their heartfelt condolences to his family and friends, and we here at the Daily Hour extend our sincerest condolences as well. In other news, thousands of coronavirus tests have been donated to various charities around the island, more than 20,000 to be exact, in an effort to keep their staff and clients safe. Now, it was a joint effort after the Interagency Committee for Children, families, and the community with the Bermuda Foundation. The 22,000 test kits are expected to be enough to cover 32 third sector organizations for about 2 months. And an investigation has been launched after gunshots were heard on Deepdale Road in Pembroke at about 11:30 p.m. last Friday. Police say that a quantity of live ammunition and a used cartridge were found at the scene. Police officers and forensics experts sealed off and examined the scene after local residents reported the incident. Now, according to authorities, there were no reports of injuries, and checks at the hospital confirmed no one had arrived at the facility seeking treatment for gunshot wounds. Now, anyone with any information is asked to get in contact with police immediately. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 71 and a low near 62 degrees. Monday morning dawns damp and rather cloudy as a cold front exited the area towards the southeast. Now, during the afternoon, brighter skies develop as high pressure builds in. Wednesday then turns showery and breezy as another cold front sweeps across the island. That's all for your daily hour news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Now let's head back to Jamal and Sherry in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Lee. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Someone hasn't had the morning coffee this morning.
Thanks so much. No, I don't think any of us, right? So
None of us have this morning.
I have.
we can to do that, but this is hey, it happens. It happens, folks. None of us
It
is perfect,
does.
especially not me, even though I'm the innocent one. Lee, thanks so much for that, and we'll be talking to you again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You as
Bye,
well.
Lee.
See you guys tomorrow.
Later, CC. Peace out, player. Just hilarious. All right, folks, do not go anywhere. Do me a favor, especially those who have joined our YouTube family. Share that link with someone on WhatsApp, the YouTube link. Share it with someone on your WhatsApp, or email it to your family and friends. Let's get our YouTube channel through the roof by January 1st, because as we stated, you never know. One day we may be on YouTube only lives. That said, this is a very important conversation coming up. We have lost a tremendous amount of people over the last year or so. And, one thing that's constant in life is death. And our job is to honestly, as it hurts, it's sad, but we want to discuss what are some ways that we can best honor those who've paved the way. That includes our parents, our mentors, people in the space we may not have met, but who basically created industry for us. We'll be back to discuss that after this.
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
We're spotlighting a Bermudian company who produces staple foods and other essential products that are integral to our Bermudian way of life and are surprisingly affordable. Bermuda's Best products started out in the late 90s with Bermuda's Best codfish, which definitely got your attention. Then came Bermuda's Best mayonnaise, matching the heavy hitters in flavor and true to the Bermuda Best formula, low in price. Further diversification has ensued, resulting in the inception of Bermuda's Best Concentrated Laundry Detergent, a special feature this month. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Sherry Van Pool. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. As mentioned before the news break, today we have an important conversation. And the question of the morning for the topic is going to be, how can we best honor those who've paved the way for us? How can we best honor those who have paved the way for us? And we can think of people that may have existed before we were even born. Some people we've lost over the last year. Again, Leanna went into detail about the late Mike Sharp, who was a sports reporter for Bermuda Broadcasting for many years. You knew the voice, you knew the name, you knew the face. I can start with this and just say, I look at people who paved the way for me. Glenn Jones, for instance, he's very young, not much older than me, but from when Glenn was at Berkeley, he then went to, I believe, prep school, and he came back on Bermuda Broadcast, and he was sharp, he was good. And that was someone I said, man, I like the way he moves in that space. Glenn has been an award-winning journalist in the US, come back to Bermuda, worked in a different space, and now he's back doing what he's doing. Then we go as far back as I never got to meet him, but Montague Shepard, what he did from a business perspective in media and broadcast. And I feel like, there needs, we speak about teaching history, but these people need to be in our books in schools. Anybody in broadcasting or radio or any type of media needs to know about him and Mr. Place, who had the Bermuda Recorder. These are things I've only learned as an adult. Glenn Blakeney, what he's done. Glenn Blakeney, a lot of people think it was just easy going out and starting radio stations. Glenn Blakeney went out, he had to go through hoops. But again, ownership, he went through a time and he came out with two partners, Scott Pierman and Alroy Smith. Alroy, Sturgis Griffin, these are people who, basically give opportunity for us in industry. And I think for me, the best way to honor those people is to utilize the skills they've taught, either directly or indirectly, and try to create other opportunities for those in the media space. There's a lot of opportunities in media now. We have social media, right?
Yeah.
Social media has given us so many opportunities to express and do various things. But I think there's always lessons we can look back at. I'm going to use my uncles and my parents. My mother had her business. My father had his business. My uncle. I personally believe that without them setting that trend, like we can earn our own, then, I wouldn't have believed I could do it. Craig Simmons said recently, he said on this show that, what was it? 90-something% of businesses will fail.
Right.
I can relate. I've had 2 or 3 that didn't make it. So, I think the best way to honor those who paved the way for us is to build on what they gave us and evolve with the times as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I did a very little bit of research on this because I was just like, how do we? And I think we end up honoring people who paved the way for us without even knowing at times, right? So it talks about traditions, celebrate them like a party, do things for them that puts you in a good space, right? So when we talk about the Mike Sharps and we talk about various people, you think about Kobe Bryant. They had a big celebratory situation. Of course, they have different type of money. Let's put that out there first. But you do those things and you uphold what it is that they had and what they gave to us, and they tend to live through it. You had the Denver Broncos young man who passed away suddenly. Oh, I just saw his number 88. I can't remember his name. And Denver actually won that game yesterday. But to uphold him, they honored him by having his number all over the stadium yesterday. And so we have to find and celebrate things about people that it may you don't think they're big at the time, but it is, because a piece of that continues to be on through us. I celebrate my birthday like it's a national holiday every year. And I would expect in my timing that people carry that on even through, I want a whole choir up there singing, Jamal. Make sure that happens, okay? I want a whole choir. I want a very big party.
Do I get permission to be part of that choir?
Yes. Okay. The tambourine. That's all you got to do. Tambourine, something, a little clap.
I want to sing.
Go ahead, Jamal. Go ahead.
Document that. Let's go to the comments. Sloan Johnson.
By learning from and not repeating mistakes, they are trailblazers for a reason. They made the mistakes so we don't have to. That is very key.
Thank you, Sloan, for that. Terry K., our colleague, says, we can best honor them by celebrating them while they are alive and documenting their stories. let's stick on this for a minute. Let's stick on this because when we ask this question, how can we best honor those who paved the way for us? One of the things that we need to do is make sure that we're letting people know, like we're giving them their flowers while they're still here.
Yes.
We need to we need to honor people. And that's why I take great pride in this show and honoring and celebrating people regularly for the things they do, because I don't think as a community we do a good job of doing that. So we're going to make sure that we don't miss out on that. So I appreciate that so much, Terry. And I'm glad that Good Day Bermuda does a fantastic job of doing that as well. Speaking of damn it, just going off track real quickly. My dad was watching this morning, and I came in and he's watching Jackie and the jokes with Terry, and he was giggling like a little kid. But anyway, Good Day Bermuda, folks, check them out. But no, Terry makes a great point. Yes, seriously, we need to do more about showing the love while people are here, where they can understand the contribution they made. I often say, once life is no longer here, we can't get that opportunity to tell people, and that's why right now I'm taking that opportunity to tell people, the world, everything that I do, like that's on the people that invested in me. And I always start with my mother, like that investment. And so my way of honoring her is that advice when I was made redundant. And she said to me, my position was made redundant. I was out of work. And I've repeated this on social media numerous times. She says, look, you've made all this money for others. Why don't you go do it for you and your family? And she was right. Like that was the simple advice that she gave me. And from that point on, you go and you express yourself. Terry K says, agreed, Sherry, we should celebrate their small wins as well as their biggest accomplishments. Correct. Philip Truck, referring to the Denver Broncos player, Demarius. Yes. And that's quite a story there. Awesome young man. Quite a story. If you don't know it, go check it out, folks. Yeah. Terry K also says, the fact that I was born on a public holiday is why I celebrate my birthday by taking time off.
We're around the same time. Yes, I love it.
In June? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nikki Michelle says, I want to speak from the point of view, I'm going to just bring it down because it's long. I want to speak from a point of view of someone who started one of the first and last at this point Black women-led ad agencies here in Bermuda that was also designed to support young creatives. Honoring can be in the form of awards, but also speaking our names in the room when we aren't around is extremely important. Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Nikki, because, I again, it literally something that simple about speaking. And I do that with my colleagues here, for instance. You be in a conversation and just, Sherry and Leanna, like you never know.
Yes.
Smallest conversation that can lead to someone, to something, someone being honored or celebrated or rewarded, not even just awarded in another space. Thank you for that, Nikki. Go ahead, Sherry.
And I was just going to piggyback on what Terry said. I love the idea of documenting stories, right? I love documentaries about, I always like, even for like music, I like to know how a song started to when it finished. It's the same thing with a person. How did they start in this industry and end up where they are? It's so inspirational. It's so motivational just to see the process.
But Sherry, remember, okay, and I'm just going to go talk about us. So a lot of people don't know, like Sherry, when we first spoke about doing something with you, it was like April of 2020 or March, right? It was a long time ago. But even before that, and this goes to Nikki's point. Nikki, listen to this. And we said this on the show before. Terry was in a cab with MP Chris Famous. And MP Chris Famous reached out to me. Hey, I asked young lady, Sherry Vanderpool, to get in touch with you. I didn't know her, but I'm like, okay, sure. Long story short, that was about 2 years prior, right?
Yes.
He literally put her name in my space. Right. So that story. And then she told me her story, how she got in radio, which again is like, wow, that's not the path most people take and so on. But why is this important? Because it actually is a story like what Nikki is speaking about. It speaks to that. Like if you know someone who is good at something, interested in something, like to me, we're honoring her by having this opportunity to have these conversations every day and creating a space where we can both engage with an audience about conversations like this. So thank you for that. And Sherry, something to add to that story, because she probably said, I like him. He's a pretty cool guy,
Well, no, shout out to Chris Famous. As Jamal said, I was driving taxi and I don't know how the conversation started, but he was like, "Hey, Jamal Hartman, let me give you his number. You need to reach out to him." And I was like, "Really?" I did. I was like, Jamal Hartman. I said, "Oh, wow. Okay, thank you." Now let me explain. Yeah, Jamal, because I knew who you was and this, that, and the other. And this goes also to the other part of not honoring or following through with things. I was scared to reach out to him. I started a message, I deleted it. I started a message, I deleted it. And I was like, you know what? Forget it. Not knowing that Chris had already kind of preempted him as well. So, yeah. And then once Carla came in, I'm sure that's the name came up again, but it was just like, it is. You should just go with your feeling and your gut.
Yeah.
And I did. I started, "Hey, Jamal," and I was like, "No, no, 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 no. Let me face that. Hi, Jamal. No, 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 no. What's up, Jamal?" So
I'm not as intimidating as Cher's making me seem, folks. I'm
no,
really not.
nothing to do with you, Jamal. Was all my fear in that. In rejection, you feel like you're going to be rejected. You know what I mean? I put you in a position of what it is that you knew and all of those kind of things. And I just didn't think I was there yet, and is he going to take me serious? I don't know, so, but look at me now.
Yeah. And I think she likes me, folks. I think she likes me. Shikarina says primary school students even know who those people are. And that, Shika, is why I said we need to get this in the classrooms. This is absolutely why I now, again, maybe I don't know if they're in the classroom already, but Mr. Place, Mr. Shepard, these are just two important names. Mr. Griffin, Sturgis Griffin, in this industry in particular. Now, this is what I'm familiar with. There are many other spaces from a legal perspective. One of the things that really bothers me about history as taught in school, it always seems like it has to reflect politics.
Yes.
For to know about it. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's a big disappointment, Sherry.
And see, and is a disadvantage for me. And I talk about, of course, when I left Bermuda. So for me, I look at Tom Joyner, the fly jock, and understand where he came from. I look at all of those various different DJs, and in the States, I was mesmerized by Steve Harvey. I was mesmerized by the fact that Tom Joyner flew from Dallas to Chicago every day.
Yes.
Like, people don't know that. He was the original Sky Miles, and what he brought to the forefront in this kind of things, and yeah, so it was.
That's a good point, and I remember that. And my former boss, Elroy, was Tom Joyner's boss at that time as well.
Really? See how excited I got?
Yeah, but here's a perfect example, folks, because, and I'll share this before we get back to the convo, is this show was kind of like the idea for this morning show was built out of the idea that Tom Joyner announced his retirement in late 2019. Yes. And so my partner, Shanta, and I kept discussing, Bermuda, we need a community morning show to have conversations. So again, that's someone who paved the way for us that's still here in a US sense. But the way he did it, like, speak to Rusty G all the time, like community is the most important part of the work we do. And part of that is making sure that we're creating a space for others to succeed. Back to the question, though, how can we best honor those who paved the way for us? If you got anything, please make sure you share it. Ebony Souza for you, Sherry.
I've always thought that the rear advertising on buses would be a great place to highlight Bermudian success, talent, etc. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong. I think that would mean someone purchasing the space to put that there, because I don't think it's free. It is advertising, so it will come down to that. Sloan Johnson says, it's okay, Sherry. We all know Jamal is mean. I don't know what she's talking about. She missed that part earlier. I'm the good one. Another big shout out, honestly, folks. One of my goals on this show was to really grow YouTube, and I love Facebook. Facebook's where we really started. Is what we do, but the fact that we double the amount of people on YouTube is really making me happy, putting a big smile on my face. So props to you all for YouTube. And Facebook is where we started, where we made our name, where we got all the love. But thank you to those who continue to support us on YouTube, and as we grow our YouTube presence. Tom Joyner is that guy, says Terry K. And
the fly jock. Then people don't know about the fly jock. hardest working man in radio. Don't play with me, Jamal. I love Tom Joyner.
Love Tom Joyner, folks. No, he was the man. He was the man. With so many people. I remember in Bermuda, in a Bermuda context, growing up. Now I look at the U.S. You've got Ricky Smiley Morning Show, Tom Joyner. You've got Steve Harvey. You've got the Breakfast Club. You've got so many, right? Now, what's the guy in Atlanta that used to be years at Frank Ski. But in Bermuda, let's be honest, a lot of people listen to the Captain coming up.
Yes.
Lady T. You had Lady T. There was an era where it all changed, and we've got Teo Dill and Teo Nafatari, and then I think Sherry, you were on with DJ Chubb, right?
Chubb, yes.
So, we've gone through some generations of people that were a part of our lives. We think about it. A morning show represents a big part of our life. That's the way we start our day.
Yeah.
But let's go back to. I want to head to use someone like Mike Sharp. You didn't have to be in broadcasting. You didn't have to be an athlete to appreciate what he brought forth. And with what he did, right? With what he did, how do we honor someone like that? How do we honor our parents? Like, let's get more personal. How do we honor our parents? Like,
I think, I'm sorry, Jamal. I think just to highlight what it is that they are or have been over the years and what they are to us, right? So when I look at my mom, she is very much into, she loves running right now. I would definitely do a memorial run for her or something like that. Sounds a little spooky, but nevertheless, I would do this type of things, the things that she loved, the things that she left, the impressions that she left on other people when you talk about weight loss and all of this kind of things, because that's kind of where she is right now. Those are the kind of things that I highlight. My father, tennis, he loved tennis, went to the US Open every year for the past 30 plus years. So, even those kind of things that people know and love for them, so it's just remembering what your parents did and loved and what made them happy as well,
Indeed. We have Renita Grom. She says, yes, using the buses is a good idea. They advertise Carifta games when they Bermuda host it. Again, it's about who's going to pay it, though. Like it's advertising. We got to remember that. So someone has to pay for it. Where's it going to come from? Laverna Amanda Kelly says, now it is Frank Ski replacing Tom Joyner on 104.1. I think that's in Atlanta, folks. Yes, David Lopes in the radio space. David Lopes is huge. Everest DaCosta as well. It's some people. I want to say this much, when I think of honoring people, I will always stick to my guns in this respect. I look at I'll use my mother for instance. She invested heavily in my sister and I. So my goal, my job based on that investment is to make sure that I invest in those things and people that I love as well. So for me, the best way to honor her or those would be to reinvest what she invested in me and more. So when I look at my niece or look at, children at my community club, it's about reinvesting. We have to, for me, us as a community, is they paved the way. So now we need make sure we make the structure even stronger to make sure that we spread out. As David Brett used to say before the last election, is, ripple effects. So out of this, this one person, we create 50 more opportunities for others in this space to grow. Go ahead.
And I was to say, and let's not forget Sherry J. So for me, Sherry was like, Sherry, I'm going to be on the radio. There is a Sherry on there, but for me, that represented me. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense, that this one day will be me on the radio. And so I used to just correlate that together.
Interesting. Yeah, good point. Karen Simmons says celebrations that honor and who they are while they are alive, and in memorials when they are no longer here. Both parents gave service in the community, and all my siblings give service. Good going. Mama Patterson in the crowd says thank you, Cher.
Hi, Mama.
So folks, I know a lot of people have given contributions this morning in terms of radio, like David Lopes and advertising, but I want to hear from the audience. I want to know, what do you believe are some of the best ways you can honor those who paved the way for you? Like, not just us and what we're saying, but like your parents or your mentors, or, you know, your favorite athlete. What are some things that, what are some ways that you're doing things to honor people who paved the way for you? Nicole Walker, Sherry.
I think I'm honoring my mom now while she's still living. She enjoys community service and giving back. Because of her examples, I'm currently involved with 2 charitable organizations. That's pretty cool.
Rosalind Famous says, just continue to say their names whenever relevant. Education is a 360-degree activity in and out of the classroom. Doing this also helps instill sense of national pride. Yeah, interesting.
Mhm.
You know what? I'm going to use Chris Famous, something he does that I really hope that when he puts his tools down and decides, you know what, I'm going to enjoy life, he has really bridged a gap. And when I say that, last week we spoke of how growing up in Bermuda, you know, we were kind of taught to look down on people to the south, in islands of the South, call them. It was just weird to me. It still is that we had people doing that. But he's really bridged the gap over the last probably 5 to 10 years in terms of, you know, connecting Bermuda and Bermudians with different islands in the Caribbean. And those are the kind of things that I say, you know, a person like him, you know, the way to celebrate and honor someone like Chris Famous, for instance, would be to, you know what, let's step this up. Let's keep these connections going. Let's see how, you know, when our islands to the south maybe are suffering, like St. Vincent, the volcano, how can we assist them? But also, how can we work together with them? How can we get some inter-island agency stuff done where we help one another? A lot of people looking at Barbados, some of the Brits saying, oh, they should have never left and it's going to be bad. No, this is when other islands, we need to band together and actually do what many other countries do that are close to one another, and support one another where we need support. We are all one people. So it's so many different ways, folks, that we can do it. But one of the things that I think we all agree with is honoring, celebrating, and doing what we can to show people the love and thanks before they leave. But after they're gone, not making sure they're not going in vain, and making sure that long after they're gone, they are celebrated, they're honored, they're remembered, and that we are doing our part to continue the work that they began. So
absolutely.
We'll wrap it up on that and kind of take a quick break, folks. Do not go anywhere because we have a very fun part of the show. And if you haven't already, we're not telling you not to stick with us on Facebook, but YouTube, show us some love. Please show us some love. We go over there, make sure you like, subscribe. And if you enjoyed today's conversations, wherever you're tuned in on, if you have the opportunity, hit a love, like. If Sherry made you laugh, the laugh emoji, just give us some reaction. We'll be right back after this. Do not go anywhere.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All right. Thanks again to One Communications, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. Sherry, let's wrap it up real quick before we go to the daily play, because I think your energy is going to change after this question.
Such a hater. My mama's watching.
Yeah.
So you know.
So don't disappoint.
But yes, I think we have to think outside of the box when it comes to, you know, people and fines, and make sure that they are finding something that's passionate and something that they want to do and work towards as well. But definitely change the system. System is antiquated, as we all know. And so that would be a good thing for everybody at hand. As far as honoring those who have paved the way for us, yeah, it's all that we said. Honor them here and when they're gone. And let's not wait till something happens, as you said, to give them the flowers. So yeah.
Indeed. On the fine system, honestly, I think we're long past due with that. And I'll be reaching out to Sloan to figure out how the work that's being done and how it can become better. So props to that young lady who was able to do service instead of having to pay the $1,800 in fines. If you don't have it, I mean, folks, there's got to be a better way. And as a community, we need to make sure that there's a better way. Real quickly on today's conversation, just go through some comments because everyone, a lot of people are still commenting. So let's just hit some comments here. Laverne Amanda Kelly says, I remember Elroy R.C. Smith. Oh, yes, got to remember the R.C. And Keevil, the Captain Burgess. Now, when my cousin Sturgis Griffin Jr. was on air, he was the man. Now, Sturgis is the granddaddy of all of the radio people. Like that's, Elroy credits Sturgis with so much. And Sturgis was very influential in the short time I got to work with him at CITV, but he is the man. Karen Simmons said, Beverly Brock, West Pembroke PE educator for generations, is a person who paved the way for me, not just in athletics, but life lessons. She's a celebrity to me, and I always get excited when I see her. And Manuela John says, Ed Eibel, Mr. D. And we've got some love for you too, Headley and Stevenson Swan. Rosalind Famous says, congrats, Manuela John, on your daughter Janelle being in Essence Magazine this week. We saw that, and we'll be reaching out to have her on because she is, we love to see it. We'll be and Mama Patterson, before you get this question, never disappoints, only loves. So let's go. Make Mama even prouder, I should say. No, but on today's show, I'll say this. The best way, everyone's going to have their own way. It's like how we cope with things. There's no perfect way to honor or celebrate people. How we choose to do that is personal to each one of us. The way I do it may not be the way that Sherry does it, and that's okay. But I try to do it. Honoring people is really to build on what they did, learn from their mistakes, as Sloan said, and really creating other opportunities for others. Because when I look at Sherry, Larry, Terry, Jackie, and Leanna, she said Leanna's my favorite, right, folks? But and Leanna, and I honestly look at what they can do beyond what we're doing together. These lot, you guys don't understand the amount of stuff that they do behind the scenes that creates a better conversation for all of us. So appreciate it. We can continue to build and create more opportunities for other people. But now it's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Sherry, are you ready?
Yeah, come on. You're being sweet to me, so I don't know where this is about to go.
There's a Christmas tree in back of me, and it actually has snow on it, right? So if I press a button, there's snow that will fall from the tree. But we'll do that on another show. So the question has something to do with a Christmas tree, if you couldn't tell by that. Here we go, folks.
What damn trees?
Help her out. She may need you. What children's toy is often seen revolving around the Christmas tree?
Train.
Wow. Oops, wrong one.
You're so used to it.
She got it without, folks. She got it without, like, even a hint.
I know, but you're so quick to wonk me.
Oh, was I? I didn't notice. I didn't notice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Karen Simmons got it as well. She said train. Look, Sherry, you've got some daily inspiration for us, right?
I do. Act as if what you do makes a difference. It does. William James. Yes. I think it was very good for today. And what it is. Act as what you do makes a difference. And it does. That
really went well for today. That was a perfect one, folks. A perfecto one. Look, we have some good people coming up this week, Sherry.
I'm excited.
Who are you most excited about? I'm gonna put you on the spot. You can't say stuff like that and think I'm not gonna put you on the spot.
I'm excited for all of them, but I am. But okay, Sencha. I am excited about Sencha.
I
Sencha
was hoping.
Storm.
I was hoping you would say Sencha. Honestly, I was. I'm excited for all of them as well. But Nakai, is it Nicole or Nakai? Twin star.
Niku.
Nicole.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
that's see, that was a thought. That was hard.
But no, I'm gonna tell you why I'm excited for Nicole. You know, Nicole and I have known each other since we were young. Played football together in our village, and don't let your idea play football. You go laugh all you want, but anyway, play it with Nicole, and I've seen Nicole and his brother. They've grown and both entrepreneurs in this space, right?
Yes.
I can't wait to hear the story of how, because his business came out of the pandemic. It was a part of it that came out of the pandemic, which was spraying down places, when we were talking about germs in the air. So I'm looking forward to learning more about how he came up with this technology, bought it in Bermuda, and has grown his business. So, folks,
Exactly.
some good shows this week. You don't want to miss them. Trust me, we won't be live tomorrow unless you want us to be live. Do you want us to be live? Sherry, you want to be live?
Huh?
Sherry's not answering, folks. Sherry's not answering. Anyway, we've got to go now. We have to go now. Looks like we'll see you again on Wednesday. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamal Hartman. My friend. We may do tomorrow.
We may. Okay.
We may do tomorrow. We'll see how the audience, if they tell us they want to see us, we'll be here.
We'll be here.
Make it a great and safe day, folks. Folks, don't forget, hit us up on YouTube. Check us out. Peace.
Bye.
Oops. We're still here.